yesteryear. Now we know this week here, towards the end of ER, marks the Hilula of the Ramchal, Rabbi Z'tl, great rabbis of his time. So I was going to actually, because we did a video already on the famous Ramchal and the author of the Mislat Yisrael, I thought I will do a video on his Talmid, Rabbi Yekutiel Gordon Z'tl, famous rabbi, famous student of the Ramchal, where very much great Italian mindset and thought really come together. Now it's reported over he lived about 80 years or something, I'm not too sure. He was probably born around the early 1660s, and it's reported over he passed away around after the time period of 1742. Now Rabbi Gordon was Kabbalist and a physician from Vilna, actually, originally he was from. And he would end up becoming one of the main Talmidim, disciples of Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. I think Rabbi Luzzatto lived, respectively, till around the year 1746. And he was actually born, I think, in 1707. He was one of the main, let's say, conduits of Rabbi Luzzatto's teachings from Padua to Eastern Europe. So this is where really Italy and Eastern Europe will really branch together. We see that Ramchal is probably arguably one of the most famous rabbis of the last 1,000 years for sure. Now, Rabbi in order to study medicine originally at the University of Padua. It is there that he met Rabbi Luzzatto originally until he go learn Torah and Kabbalah. He considered, let's say, leaving his medical studies in order to dedicate to the study of Kabbalah at that point in time. However, Rabbi Luzzatto at the time, it's reported over, urged him not to. He insisted that his Maggid, or mystical teacher, wished for Rabbi Gordon, who would cover up Gordon, to be successful in both realms, both areas. That's interesting. Rabbi Gordon was, let's say, thus unwilling the initial source of publicity of Rabbi Luzzatto's Maggid. He wrote an account to his teacher in Vilna, thus initiating much of, let's just say, everything that surrounded Rabbi Luzzatto at the point in time. While he was greatly, let's say, pained in the matter, the Maggid insisted that these developments were heaven sent. You know, I'd recommend everyone to learn about the history of Rabbi Luzzatto and Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. Nowadays, his books, Musa books, are probably learned in all the yeshivot, respectively. This is, which I would interestingly make out. Rabbi Gordon was one of the transcribers, let's say, of Rabbi Luzzatto's writings. Following Rabbi Luzzatto passed away, and let's say many of the follows, like there was a dissolution, some of them went away. Rabbi Gordon would return to Poland and would establish a group of his own which separated itself from the general community and adopted its own dress, interestingly enough. Rabbi Yekutiel would go on to become one of the copyists of the Ramchal's great writings and would sign his copies with the name יקותיאל, I believe, which is very interesting enough. I believe the Ramchal left Padua in Italy around the year 1735, and at that point in time, that's when the group disbanded. They went to different places. Rabbi Yekutiel, as we said before, went to Poland, started this group over there, and he was one of the distributors. He would actually distribute Ramchal's Kabbalah to Poland and Lithuania. So this was much of where the Ramchal's teaching were actually spread through Rabbi Gordon. And some will actually speculate, we don't know for sure, that it was from him that I think Baruch Sheikh of Scholov received the ideas of Kabbalah, Rabbi Baruch would. Interesting enough. So now he lived about 80 years, it's predicted, over a long life. So he would have passed away, I believe, around after 1740. So I'm not too sure when exactly. And spent a long time, I think, in Italy and in Venice. I'm not sure if he passed away in Venice or not, respectively, but that's interesting. Now, he wrote several books, several writings, Rabbi Gordon did. It's reported that only a few of them actually got published at the end. Now, the remaining manuscripts itself, I believe, are in the Hebrew University, actually featured over there in some different places. Now, it's actually interesting. There was, for example, a debate between Rav Kashisha and Rav Yanuka, I think, and the rabbi debated, I think, or edited an article. There was another book with regards to morality, let's just say. Hidot Magela, I think it was a book of offerings, let's just say, a piyut on the theme of Purim, like the scroll Megillat Purim, respectively, in the initials of the Megillah, respectively, I think that was writing. And there was another book, I think, dealing, let's just say, with the meaning of the various mitzvot, the different commandments, respectively. So if he passed away probably in the 1740s. I'm not too sure, I need to confirm the exact address. Maybe it was even later. But he lived about 80 years of age. He was one of the famous students of the famous Ramchal, one of the great rabbis of Italy. The Rabbi Yekutiel lived about 39 years of age, and he wrote also Mesilat Yesharim, the Path of the Just, as they call it. Obviously the Ramchal, that was a lot of brilliant books that was actually written, and I recommend everyone to look into it and learn about, because remember in this series already we've spoken already about many of the great rabbis actually descended from Italy originally. Many of them would actually even spend time learning in the University of Padua, a famous university over there, and various other different vicinities. So I recommend everyone to actually follow it. Now, friends, we're a community. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. We've covered nearly 1,000 rabbis already inside this series. We're a community. If you descend from any of the rabbis we're speaking about, please leave a comment. I would love to hear more. If you feel anyone's interested in watching any of these videos, share these videos to other people respectively. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I would love to include, watch and enjoy. Now, as a special treat, now that we're in Israel and just on the bus here in Jerusalem, I'll let you see a few scenes from it of amazing Israel, Eretz Israel. As we're talking about Italy, we don't speak our mind too much in Italy. We want to be in Eretz Israel. So 1 or 2 minutes of seeing the highway and enjoy the sights and scenes of the beautiful country of Israel. Recording just before Jerusalem Day here in the year 2025. So Rabbi Gordon passed away around probably about 280 years ago here from time recording. So we're talking about a good 12 generations ago he would have passed away. One of the great rabbis at this time. Gordon is actually a very famous Jewish family name also, we have to also point out. It's just going from a very famous site over here also. None of these great rabbis had the chance, I think, to spend time in Israel, but let's say, for example, the Ramchal and Rabbi Gordon, a lot of people are learning their works in this amazing country. Okay friends, I think we're going to leave it here. Please subscribe everyone and enjoy.